What is up, everyone? Welcome in. Welcome back to the Retro Gaming Broadcast. I'm sorry that it was such a long break between the last episode and this episode, but we are over on YouTube now, not Twitch. And of course, as you guys know, Jojo Narok is no longer with the show. Unfortunately, he didn't have the time to put it in. And so I'm kind of moving this into a different direction. And I will be kind of running with random guests, hopefully, until maybe I find someone who wants to permanently be part of the show. And so today I have a special guest. We have Ryan Phoenix, or the RPG Tour Guide. Let me go ahead and bring him in here. What is up, buddy? How you doing? All right, hold on. Hold on. See, now it's screwed up again. For some reason, your mic is not coming across, and I don't know why. Let's see. Why is your... I'm sorry, guys. I have him here, but for some reason, the audio did not come across. Let me fix his audio, and we will get this started. Where? Let's see. Let's take it back here. Yeah, it's not. Let's see. Discord properties. See. No, it's. I know what it is. It's right here. It's for some reason it changed. To Auxvio, not to my auxiliary, because for some reason OBS decided that that one no longer needs to be there. So I have to change this in Discord then, because it's, yeah, for some reason that input specifically is not showing up as a valid input. So let me change this guy. 3. All right, give me a test.
Okay, can you hear me now?
What the... Nope, still no audio for me, but now you're coming across my speakers again. I am tearing this
I
up.
was gonna say, yeah.
Okay, let's get rid
No
of
worries,
that.
no worries.
There we go. I think we have you now.
All right, good enough, good enough.
So, welcoming everyone again. Welcome, Ryan Phoenix, RPG Tour
right.
Guide. Go ahead and introduce yourself this time. Now people can hear you.
That's right. As Mike said there, Ryan Phoenix, the RPG Tour Guide, here on YouTube. Very rarely on Twitch there, I think maybe twice. But yeah, happy to be here. Happy to be the first random guest for the show here.
So, as you guys know from the last show, the Retro Gaming Broadcast is just a podcast where we discover the nostalgic factor of playing these video games that we're going to be talking about. And every video game that's going to be coming part of the show is, in fact, part of my collection. As you can see over my shoulder, I do have the demo mode playing behind me. And so we will just kind of talk more fun facts, not necessarily deep diving into the, how the graphics are built or who designed it, who built whatever, unless it's maybe a reason why to have that. And so, first off though, I have to ask, what is the RPG Tour Guide? What is that about? And what made you come up with that name? I'm sorry, I have to ask.
No problem there. So I do, basically, it's primarily a Let's Play channel there. Just do that sort of style of videos there with gameplay, commentary. I think that the initial idea behind it was somebody commenting that I had one of those sort of airplane pilot kind of voices.
Okay.
The way that I sound there, my kind of cadence I have there, and then I just kind of evolve that into like this idea of, well, I can do like the bus tour guides, or like on your left you'll see kind of expression to my voice there. So and that's just kind of where it slowly evolved from there. And I just kind of like the idea there. It sounds, to me, unique enough there where it stands out a little bit. I've got a lot of compliments on the name there. It seems like a lot of people like that kind of the name. So yeah, I'm happy with it.
Oh, I dig it. I think it's a cool name. Like that's what caught my eye. Like when I first started talking to stuff like that, I'm like, that's a pretty unique random name. I like it.
Yeah.
And So, what is your favorite retro console?
Oh, that's a tough one there. It's mainly a toss up between the Super Nintendo and the PS1. There, those are I would say my two top retro consoles there.
Well, of course, right? Because it's
Mm.
the standard, I guess, the gold standard for RPGs and Japanese
The
RPGs. It's
two
where
RPG
it's
juggernauts there. Yep.
yep, they're like the biggest systems for that. I mean, there's a lot of great games on other systems. Don't get me wrong, but those two right there, when you
Oh
talk
yeah,
about
yeah.
RPGs and the history of them, those are the two systems that everyone goes back to because yeah, those are the two eras where they just really held on and took force. And I guess they carried those systems. You can say really. So
Yeah, yeah.
mine, I'd say, was a Super Nintendo. I grew up with a Super Nintendo. I loved, 90% of the games I ever played on the Super Nintendo. Unlike the NES,
Mhm.
where the NES, half the games just make you love to hate them as much as you want to try to beat them
Mhm.
to say I did it.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I'd almost rather have an arcade machine stealing my corners than some of the frustration you picked up from playing an NES game half the time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The NES was definitely the age of uh, arcade hard games. Yeah, still not quite beyond that quarter eating mentality.
Right?
Which I still love arcades. I do love the NES there, but it's like, yeah, I 100% get what you're saying with that.
Oh yeah, I love the arcades, and I'm actually trying to build me uh, a bunch of cabinets to start my own little video arcade setup out where I live because we don't really have a true arcade. We have like a mini version of Chuck E. Cheese where you go get tokens, but like we don't have any video arcades. So I've been kind of doing some research and studying into whether or not that'd be plausible in my area. So
That's cool. That's really cool.
um, okay, so last thing before we jump into the game here, what are you playing right now that's retro?
Uh, uh, on my channel there, we are doing a Zelda randomizer there, the combined randomizer, Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. My wife and I are swapping back and forth on that one. She plays the Ocarina of Time dungeons and all that there, and I play the Majora's Mask side of the game. So whenever we swap between the two worlds there, we swap the controller back and forth there. So that's been a lot of fun. Also on the channel there, playing Lunar, the Silver Star Story Complete for the PlayStation 1. Love that
Nice.
game there. Another awesome RPG.
Oh yeah.
Just one of those ones when I think like the classic RPG there, that's one that just jumps to mind right away there. That style of RPG.
That is a Lunar is a story that you can play over and over again. There might not be a
Mm-hmm.
whole bunch of different endings like say a Star Ocean or you know
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that, but it does definitely hold a candle. Like it just makes you stick right to it once you get into it. And once you start loving that story, you're hooked, you're stuck, you're not going
Oh
anywhere.
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
So, and I love the randomizer. I've been kind of poking around your videos, watching them when I can and stuff like that. And I think the
I
randomizer is
appreciate
kind of
that. I
cool.
appreciate
I
that.
never really like wanted to get into that myself, but I'm not gonna lie. Kind of watching you do that makes me want to try some randomizer stuff myself. So I might have to figure out a couple of games I could play like that. I've seen a few people doing Link to the Past, and that's one of my favorite
Yeah.
all-time games. So I might have to try the Link to the Past randomizer to be my first break-in, I guess you could say. Um,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I recommend that one. I played that one also there. That's one that I might do on the channel eventually. There. Yeah. I do love the idea behind randomizers there. Just a new way to re-experience an old favorite there. Just to change it up just enough there. So and the Zelda formula just works so well for that. So yeah. Yeah.
Oh, for sure, and it's just the way the Zelda's built, right? Because I mean, like hell, the
Mm,
original Zelda on NES had its own built-in randomizer. You could almost
mm,
say, granted, it was the same thing. Like you never got something different, but the fact that like when you went to replay the game the second time, it changed the world around, so you had to go figure out where everything was at and stuff like that. Caves you
yeah.
knew in
Yeah.
one spot would be something else. So I guess it kind of just leads itself to to be in that kind of a setup because of the way the maps are, right? I guess.
Oh yeah. I agree. Yeah. Yeah.
So, guys, to get into the topic of today, which is Parasite Eve 1 from the PlayStation 1, it is a Squaresoft game back before they were Square Enix. Or, wait, no. Yeah, they're.
Yeah,
I
before
get that
Square
back.
Enix.
Yeah,
Yeah,
before Square Enix.
Squaresoft.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute. Then my own brain got in my own way, and I tripped on myself, like I always do. So it is a SquareSoft game before Enix. It was Squaresoft's first M-rated game that they ever did, and it is a survival horror with a lot of RPG. I say it's light RPG. I don't know how you feel about that, if you think it's light RPG or full RPG.
Personally, to me, Parasite Eve is just that perfect 50-50 between the two there. That's one of the things I love about that game there. So
Right. So this game released in 1998. It was a brainchild from the Squaresoft team, of course, teaming up with an author because the author didn't really have a whole lot to play into the story, but they did work with their publisher to make sure that they weren't butchering the story or doing anything that would step on any kind of copyright infringement, stuff like that. But it is based off the novel that was released in 1995 in Japan only at first, and then was adapted into a movie before, was it 2005, I think, is when they finally translated it and brought it to the States and to the English language. And
I think so, somewhere in there.
if you haven't read it, I'm going to tell you right now, it is a very, very hard read. When the reviews say it's a hard book to read, it's not lying. And I love to read books, and I read books, and this book's one that I just can't seem to stick to. It's a very hard read. It's very deep and very detailed, but it is a great story to kind of lead into what Parasite Eve is. So, do you have any fun facts you want to throw in there before we go kind of into the game itself?
Well, I personally haven't read the book there. It's one of those things where I keep meaning to do it there, but like, just haven't got my hands on a copy of it there. And like, I have heard, as you said right there, it is not the easiest read there. So someday, I'd still like to do it there, but just haven't gotten to it yet. I've seen the movie there. I know that the movie and the book have different endings there, which the ending is very important, especially to the Parasite Eve game. And the movie completely takes a completely different path from the ending of the book. So it's not a bad movie there, but I think that you get more out of it if you are a fan of the game going into it there, and probably if you are a fan of the book, you probably got at least some enjoyment out of the movie there.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't watched the movie yet. I'm gonna have to find one and read it, or not read it, watch it, because I'm guessing it was never translated. I'm assuming it's still in Japanese and you have to read it subtitled, correct?
Yeah, that's the way that I had to. Yeah. It's been a little bit there, but yeah, last I knew there was no official translation.
So
or dub.
Yeah, they haven't dubbed it. I don't think they will either, because I mean,
I can't imagine. No.
it did terrible if you would consider box office back then. Like, it did terrible to the point that they were like, even the guys who made it were just like, oof. Like, I don't know how we did so bad on it. I guess reading their reviews, I guess it'd be kind of a toss of who did worse translating. Would it be Aragon or Parasite? Because Aragon, he actually revoked the rights for them to make the second movie because they did such a bad job on it.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that. Yeah.
So more little facts, tidbits, maybe to talk about the game before we kind of get into the game itself. The game was originally supposed to be set in Tokyo as a direct sequel to the novel, but some of the guys were like, no, I want to change it up. We want to sell this to English audiences. So they decided to make it into a modern time New York City, which would be based off 1997, 1999, 1998 time. So it was modern for then. Now it's a little different. And they actually based Aya Brea, which is the main character. I'm probably butchering her name completely wrong, but they actually meant to design her more off of Aerith in all actuality. Okay. So they actually were using her. So if you look at the character when she's running around, like her polygon self, she looks like a cross between an Aerith and a Squall because of the yellow hair and like how some of the sharp graphics will come off. It kind of looks almost like his spiky hair. And originally they wanted to sexualize her more. Somehow, I haven't found the detail of why they didn't, but they doled her back to make her more strong. And I think they accomplished it. I mean, going through the game, I think she is a very strong character. She's not full of herself, but she's also not like a sissy. She doesn't like sit there and question herself all the time.
Yeah.
It also is built on a modified Final Fantasy VII engine. So they actually modified the 7 engine to make this game.
that was really cool. That's cool that they worked that in there. Like we were talking before there about how the rumors of this whole idea started out as like a Final Fantasy VII, the beginnings of Final Fantasy VII there before they decided to just completely take it and make it its own thing there. Which you can see some of the makings of Final Fantasy VII in there. The whole like mystery of Sephiroth towards the beginning of Final Fantasy VII there, chasing after him there. Kind of took that there, turned it more detective style story, and with the modern setting there for Parasite Eve, with Aya and Eve in place of Cloud and Sephiroth there.
Right. So it does have that feel, right? But tell me this:
Mm-hmm.
towards the end, remember the last scene, and we'll talk about this later. But Daniel jumping out of the helicopter, he looks like Barrett. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
He does. He looks like him when he's jumping out of the helicopter. It's like, wait, what? Like you could have almost you could almost taken that scene and put it in Final Fantasy VII somewhere, and you wouldn't even have known the difference.
Yeah.
So the game itself, okay, I asked this before, but I want to bring it back up for chat. You played this on release, right? When it came out, like, cause I did too.
Yeah.
So tell me the first time you started it up, like what was the first thing that caught your eye and made you just go, I'm going to love this game?
Really, this game has one of the best intros in gaming still to me to this day there, like including like the whole intro cinematic there, but then like within the first 10 minutes of pressing start and going into that first scene, like if you're not grabbed at that point there, I don't know what's wrong with you.
You definitely don't love RPGs or RPG stories if it just doesn't grab your attention right away. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So for me, the first scene for me that grabbed me was like, okay, yes, the intro is amazing. The cinematic you see playing behind me, the demo is phenomenal, and the music they play with it just makes you go, ooh, I really got to get that game. And I remember watching the trailer, which is what made me want to go buy it.
Okay.
But the first scene that got me, besides the whole intro where they're in the opera theater and Eve's singing, or she's still Eva at the point because she hasn't transformed. She's still her opera character. But when you go into the underground, underneath the basement of the opera theater, and that first scene where the rat dude starts to transform,
scene, yes.
that right there was just like, I mean, I was a kid, right? And I'm just like, oh, this is dope. This is awesome right here. Like that scene right there was just like, yes, let's go. And then a couple minutes later, you walk into the rehearsal studio, and that's when Eve transforms. Right? She comes out and she puts her fingers to that keyboard, and it's just like, wait, hold a minute, what's going on here? And then it's just like blows your mind because at the time, this was leading edge graphics at the time. FMVs were like just starting to take over. We've seen it in Final Fantasy VII. We've seen it a little bit in Resident Evil 2. Resident Evil 2 kind of had a different feel with the way they did their polygons. I think it looked smoother, I guess, but like we were seeing games do more of trying to make the videos look as realistic and as impressive as possible, right?
Yeah, I don't have my copy lying around here. I probably should have grabbed it before we did this there, but like Squaresoft knew this. They're going into it. Like on the back of the box there, they tote this as the cinematic RPG, like the top of the back cover there. Yeah. So yeah, they knew going into this there that their cinematics were just going to be like, at the time, jaw dropping there. And even now, I still look at those and I'm like, wow. I would love to see. I know Megan has a little bit here, but like I'd love to see. Yep, there you go. I'd love to see this brought into the current day there, to see these cinematics done with current technology.
Oh, I would absolutely love to see like an RE2 type like setup for this and just rebuild the whole game, but do not destroy the combat system, because the combat system is probably one of my favorite aspects of this game. But rebuild it, make it smoother. Don't, like I said, do not adapt it to, Final Fantasy VII Remake where it's, you just change the combat system completely. I still want the combat system left alone. Just completely upgrade the game and make it better. to today's technology, right? I guess you can't really make it better. It's an amazing game. I think. I think it still stands and it's still fun to play. I just finished playing it, and I think it's an amazing game.
Mm. Yeah, I'm right there with you on the whole. Like, I'd love to see a remake, a remaster of this, but I'm so worried that they would just take the gameplay that I love out of it there, and just like, okay, yeah, we're just gonna go straight action there, or you know, maybe even just go straight survival horror with it there. I just love the combat style that this game creates,
Oh
that
yeah.
this game utilizes there. The whole uh, turn-based stand there and like your little dome of range with your attacks comes over you. There's
Oh
just
yeah.
a cool mechanic there.
So this
Like I know
game,
they reuse it. Sorry, go
no,
on.
no, you're good. I thought you were done, so I was actually gonna segue into what you were talking about. So they spawned two sequels, right? So there's Parasite Eve 2, and then there's
Yeah.
Third Birthday. So
Mhm.
before they wanted to release Third Birthday, they actually wanted to do an HD remake of this game,
Oh, okay. Okay,
but
I
it's
hadn't heard that one.
but it's co-ownered with the author. So it's I got it written down here. What was his name? Hidaki Senna. I
Hideki
totally
Senna, I think.
I
Yeah.
probably butchered that badly, and I'm sorry, guys.
Uh,
But he co-owns the rights to this because of how closely it is tied to his novel. Granted, it's not a
mhm,
direct sequel; it's not considered a sequel, but because of how much it ties into it, they actually were not going to allow them to remake it. They wanted to do an
mhm.
HD remake right before Third Birthday to try to get everyone to rebuy it, right? A big money grab, right? Like, oh, let's
Right.
remake the
Yeah.
first
Yeah.
two because we're going to be bringing all these old fans and they're going to want to play it. So let's bring it to new gen, just like they were doing some other games. But yeah, they wouldn't let them do it. So they had issues with the copyright and couldn't get it, which might be kind of why it's tying it up right now. Maybe there's still
Mhm,
something going on there in the background that won't allow it because in this age of remakes, why wouldn't you do Parasite Eve with as much as
mhm.
fans are in love with this game?
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Yeah, yeah. There's something there. Like you hear every so often about like a trademark or a copyright that Square Enix is messing around with. I can't remember. There was something that was very similar to Parasite Eve there that like they copyrighted a while back there that people were like, oh, this is the new name for Parasite. I can't remember what it was there. I should have looked into that one there, but yeah. I just remember, the hype about that there, and then it turned out to be something completely different. So,
Right. Well,
always a tease.
Square Enix is good at like locking characters, right? Mario
Mm,
RPG. I'm a big fan of that one. It's like probably one of my top favorite
mm,
RPG games. Geno. Square Enix told Nintendo, no, you can't have Geno. So when
mhm,
they started
mhm.
making the other games, that's why Geno's locked in Final or I almost said Final Fantasy RPG, Mario RPG is because Square
Mhm,
Enix owns the rights to Geno, and that's why he's tied and stuck
mhm.
there. Is because Square Enix is like, yeah, you remember what you did to us back then? Well, yeah, we're just gonna hold his ass and not let you have him.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I know fans have been clamoring for having something more to do with Geno because everyone loved him. He was a great character.
Mhm,
I thought he was awesome in the game, but the fact that that's where he lives is kind of off-putting, right? I'd expected more or to see him come out more with that kind of stuff. So kind of sucks to see that.
a little bit, yeah, yeah, I get it, yeah.
So I don't know. This game got a lot of good reviews. It got a lot of not really mixed. Like you either loved it or you hated it. Like it was either yeah, it's my
Mhm,
thing,
mhm,
or it's nah, not really my thing. But it looks cool. But it had a lot of competition, right? Because it released in 1998, which is the same year as Xenogears, Brave Fencer
mhm,
Musashi, Bushido Blade
yeah,
2,
mhm,
Guys. I always pronounce that one wrong. Another Mine,
yeah.
and Soul King. I never played Soul King, so I'm not sure what that one is. But those were all SquareSoft games. But then there was
Mhm,
other horror games released the same year, which is Resident Evil 2, of course,
yeah.
Clock Tower 2, which like another game that you either knew about or you don't know. And if you don't
Mhm.
know about Clock Tower, you don't know survival horror games very well. um, but there was Hell Knight, Deep Fever, a couple other horror games that came out that same year. So it was surrounded with a lot of other great titles that are loved by fans alike and stuff like that. But I think this game stood out by itself enough that you weren't just stuck like, oh, I like Resident Evil 2, so I hate Silent Hill, or I like Silent Hill, so I love Resident Evil, right?
Mhm,
I don't think
yeah.
Parasite Eve stood in that sense where you couldn't love it while loving something else.
Right, right. It had enough to differentiate itself from both sides there. So yeah, yeah.
So, do you want to? So, because I know you're really well versed in the combat system and upgrading your
Mm.
guns, I'm gonna let you go ahead and kind of describe this combat system because it is different. It was, I mean, yeah, we had Vandal Hearts that did something very similar, but this combat system was definitely unique of its own right at the time.
Mm.
So,
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so yeah, it is a turn-based combat system there, in the has the sort of active time bar system that you see in a lot of the Final Fantasy games of the time. There, your little bar will fill up there, and then your turn will come up, and you can fire your weapon there. You can use items, or you can use your uh, variation of magic for this game. There, the parasite energies there that you get from your mitochondrial power there. And like I've gone done so many different little guides and videos and things like that there about the weapon system there. I'm not not too versed in guns and everything like that, so the gun names there I'm probably got uh, did not get correct on my videos there, but just general idea anyway. There, like you can upgrade your weapons to have more attack power, you have more bullet capacity, greater range on your bullets, and then you'd have different little add-ons to your weapons there that you can move around between all of them. There, you can have say like fire rounds, ice rounds. You can have acid, which is basically like a poison effect to your guns. There, you can boost your critical rates. There, you can uh, eventually get to where you can do multiple commands in one turn there, so you could like fire with your gun and do magic in the same round of combat. Uh, there's a lot of different things that you can tack on your guns there to improve your improve your chances against all these monsters there. All these mutated creatures that Eve is creating. So yeah, there's just a lot of different things that you can do uh, to to improve your chances in the game there. And that's one of the things I really loved about it there, that you could just do those little touches there, those little tweaks. And it's really one of those things that if you're into the min max game there, where you want to become overpowered, you can definitely do that in this game. Uh, like I said, there the different stats there, you can boost them by cannibalizing your old equipment. There, they all have little bonuses. They're like +1 to, let's say, attack power, +2 to your bullet capacity. You can take that and add that to your current weapon, and then you can keep on swapping them back and forth as you find better base guns and all that there. So yeah, you can become like a full-on machine taking on these monsters here, mowing through them no problem. And that's one of the things that like I don't like it for every game there, but just the way that Parasite Eve presents it there, I just love doing that kind of build for myself there.
so
So
playing
I
through it.
know, like, mhm.
Go ahead. Sorry, I've.
I was just saying, like, so I know that you recently played it there. Like, how did you handle doing that there? Like, did you really upgrade weapons there, or how did you go about it on your playthrough recently?
So it had been such a long time since I've actually played the game and sat down and played through it in its entirety. But like
Mm.
the weapons, they use just generic names, so you don't have to worry about messing the weapons that names up too
Mm,
much.
gotcha.
It seems like it was like a P2203, and it was just like a -1,
Mm, mhm.
-2, -3 to let you know kind of where you picked it up along the story. Um, but there was also um, a tranquilizer round, which sucked.
Mm, mhm. Yeah.
I tried to use it and it works great on like weaker enemies, but it was like
Mhm.
useless later on in the game. But
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
change your fire rate. You can change how many bullets you got to use in a round, which can also screw you because you think, oh, the more bullets I can shoot off in one turn, the better off I am. But if you use above like a
Mhm.
2 or 3 rounds, because there was a couple of guns that
Right.
gave you 5 rounds, if you didn't use the 1.5 multiplier with it, the 5 rounds would leave you open for attacks. So you'd get beat up and you'd be stuck in the middle of your animation of shooting and not be able to heal. So that kind of
Mhm.
screws you because if you put that on a gun and wasted that slot, then you're like, well, now I got to waste another gun I get later to maybe get a stat I want to
Mm.
switch it over. Um, but like I said, I love it too because, like I said, like you were talking about, you can upgrade your range because you have rifles, you have handguns, you have a baton. Which, if you were watching my first video in the first chapter, I ran out of ammo and had to switch to my baton
Mm.
to actually go melee with somebody.
Gotcha.
Which
Yeah.
was actually the end of day one's boss, the alligator, the thunder gator at the bottom. Um, but yeah, you get to upgrade, like I said, your bullet capacity, which is nice because there is actually an animation for if you run out of bullets, you're stuck. You're stuck and you have to reload. And if you're, like, say, using a 3 round, you shoot 2 and have to reload, you can't cancel out of it. You're stuck. You have to wait till you reload, shoot that 3rd round before you can actually go and start moving again. So it almost stuns you and leaves you wide open for whatever the enemy is going to throw at you, depending on the type of enemy you're fighting. Um, and especially like fighting the bats, right? The bats, because they'll blind you and they'll make your range go from like, oh, I got this big range to like nothing, and you can't actually hit anything. Um, but it was cool to see using tools to like steal the stats from other guns, or say you built one gun up and you're like, ooh, I found a better base
Yeah.
that has like maybe a good range. Like I had built a pistol up at first, but then the second I
Mm.
got that rifle, I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna take all the stats I put in this pistol, I'm throwing it right into the rifle, and I'm running the rifle because the range, to me, it was all about staying
Mhm.
away. It was
Mhm.
all about, okay, I can move around, get behind them, let them cast their animation for their attack, and then I'm just gonna shoot them from behind and try to get crit damage, or some kind of status effect on them and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
I would have loved to seen more tools, like being able to get like either farm more tools or go around getting more of the passes, because I think there's a lot of stuff in this game they
Mhm.
underutilized. Like there is the gunsmith in the police department basement who says, "Oh,
Mhm. Yeah.
if you bring me a permit, I'll mod your gun for you." And it's like, what,
Mhm.
you get 2 of those in the whole game? Like, okay, why was he even there at that point? I mean, I get he should have just been a
Yeah.
tutorial to teach you about how modifying your guns works, not, oh, let me go back to him
Mhm.
every time and do more. Because unless you found the rare collector cards, which you don't get until you do the EX game, you're like, a lot, I said, a lot of it's kind of wasted. That'd probably be my downfall of the game, is that some of the mechanics they wanted to bring in, they
Mhm.
underutilized. But I finished the game with the rifle and the rocket launcher. I never used the
Okay.
grenade
Yeah. Yeah.
launchers. Outside outside of the first boss, I never touched a baton again, even though I always kept a baton just in
Mhm.
case.
Yeah. Yeah. The game forces you to keep the baton just in case there. So yeah.
Right? Yeah, they're
But
not gonna
yeah.
leave you let
Yeah.
you stuck.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the rifle is definitely a good choice there. Like I said, for the range and everything there. Uh, Another thing that like I go into detail on my videos there, my video guides. Each gun has its own little like it has, along with the rate of fire there, it has its own little like uh firing ability. Like the handguns and the machine guns go a little bit faster there, and then the next level I think is the rifles and the grenade launchers. And, like shotguns are a little bit slower, and then like rocket launchers are really slow.
Oh,
Then
for sure.
like there's just little trade offs there, and another thing about the guns there, like your ATB bar there, how fast that fills up also depends on what weapon you have. So like again, like handguns and machine guns, that goes a lot faster. If you, for some reason, like when you run out of bullets there, and like if you want to prioritize using like magic for any reason there, using the baton, your ATB bar shoots up like twice as fast, I think. So you get your turns a lot faster that way. But generally, you're gonna want to keep your gun on you there, because that's where your main damage comes from. But
Oh yeah. Well, because like some of the attacks, right? Like the one main attack they give you in your parasite abilities is the hyper blast, and it just drains your bar and it leaves you stunned for like a
Mhm.
second. So it leaves you kind of hung out there to dry. So if you don't kill the
Mhm.
guy
Yeah.
you're going after, it kind of just leaves you there. And like
Yeah.
I said, the
Yeah.
fact that it kills your bar off, which is your main healing, because yeah, you do get
Mhm. Mhm.
potions, if you will. Um, you do get medicines, is what they're called. You get medicines like what 1 through 4 or whatever is the levels.
Yeah. Yeah.
You do get those, but you kind of want to save those, because one of my
Mhm.
favorite abilities that I put on my armor was the auto heal. So if you ever get like
Oh yeah,
hit with a
yeah.
crit or a high damage, you'll automatically heal yourself before you die. And so you kind of want to leave those medicines always in your inventory, so that way they're
Mhm.
always there for that. Oops, I almost died there, and my armor saved my ass.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Anytime, yeah, agreed. There, anytime that I get to play through there, auto heal has to be right on my armor there.
Oh yeah.
Every time, every time.
And the armor follows the same suit. So you have what? You have
Yes.
defense, you have
Yeah.
parasite power
Defense. Yeah.
defense, and then you
Yeah.
have crit evade, which they don't really explain to you
Yeah.
what that means, but it's
hmm
more like your evasion, your ability to move on the field, right? Because the more you upgrade that,
Yeah.
like you feel like Aya runs a little bit faster um than she does normally.
Yeah.
And so the
I
parasite,
believe so.
I think there's a lot of the parasite powers that don't really, I don't know. I just feel like they're wasted. Again, a little shortfall of the game where they could
hmm
have like done a little better job was like detox is fine, but there's like a lot of stuff you don't really use in there. Like haste was
Yeah.
cool. Haste works really great, especially when you're trying to fight bosses or you're just got a ton of enemies in the map and you want to move away, especially like the spiders. Like they're really fast. So you
mm
have to be able to get within
Yeah.
range. But like barrier, I used barrier once and I was on the crab boss in day 5.
mm
And that was it. I never used it any other time because it just felt like I had better use of my turn than trying to cast a barrier
Right.
so that I
Right.
can not take any damage till my next one, right? And then there's like
Yeah.
ones trying to remember all the powers, but there was a couple that I never used. Like I never used scan. Scan didn't matter to me. You fight
Oh
the
yeah.
same in some areas you fight the same enemy so many times you're kind of like, okay, I know exactly how many hits it's going to take. Like in the
Yeah.
museum in day 5, the museum, you fight those little green chameleons that hop around everywhere.
Yep.
At my rifle level I was going through, there was 5 shots, so I knew exactly as long as I hit the same guy 5 times, he's gone. And so why would I cast haste or barrier or a scan to see what he's got left? I just, okay, how many times did I hit him?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can understand definitely scan there. Like I barely use that in any games there. Maybe like if I'm just on my end there, if I'm making a guide about something there, I want to see like, okay, what's uh this enemy's stats there, so I can make add this to my guide or whatever there. But for casually playing through there, no, I never use scan. uh, Haste is a like like you said there, it's lets you move around the battlefield a little faster there. It makes your turns come up faster, and one other thing that's a nice little bonus for haste if you use it uh, while you have that paralysis effect on you there. Like the spiders, when they hit you with their webbing there, they'll make you stuck in place. If you use haste on that, it overwrites that there, and you can move again. So it's kind
Huh.
of like a heal to that there, which is a pretty nice little thing.
So instead of
So
using the
yeah,
detox, go ahead and cast
mhm.
haste and you get
Go ahead and
more
cast haste,
benefits.
and then you get you get the haste benefits plus the heal. Yeah. So yeah,
See?
that was barrier is like you said, I've used it like maybe twice, very rarely. There, if like a big attack is coming there, I might throw it up, but not usually, not usually.
I could see 3 enemies you could use barrier on that would be beneficial, right? The crab boss, which is what I
Mm-hmm.
used it on trying it.
Mm-hmm.
The T
Yeah.
Rex you fight in day 5,
Mm-hmm.
and the
Yeah.
final boss, stage 2, when he's the adolescent and he does those lasers out of his tail.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it. It's the only
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
3
Yeah.
spots I could
Very
see
rarely. Very.
using barrier.
Very situational. Very
Now liberate,
situational.
liberate that attack. You don't get till the very
Mm-hmm.
end unless you're grinding the game. But liberate, dude, that
Mm-hmm.
that attack was probably the coolest one because it literally just
That is so cool.
it'll one shot any enemy, but it's a
Mhm.
waste on regular enemies. But like even the
Mhm.
final boss, like I cheesed the second round of the
Oh
final
yeah.
boss
Oh
with liberate
yeah.
because that stupid
Mhm.
wingsuit that comes when his wings come off and it starts flying around the lasers it shoots. That thing is
Mhm.
it's terrible. I can't stand it.
Yeah, liberate's an awesome final move there, and yeah, like you said, you get at the very end there, but it's yeah, it's a killer move there to use for sure.
But it leaves you stunned, so be careful, right?
It
You
does
gotta
get
be,
it is another one thing that leaves you stunned. Yeah, yeah.
and it drains your
Uh,
bar, and it takes forever for your bar to recover after you use it. It's not like using
mhm.
the what the gene heal, which will drain your bar and keep healing you
Mm-hmm.
while it's doing it. Like it doesn't once it hits the bottom, it stops and your bar comes back up. When you use
Mm-hmm.
the energy blast one, your bar starts to instantly recover. This one, your bar literally sits there for like a second or two blinking, and you almost have to wait for a cooldown before it even starts to recover. And when it does start
Mm-hmm.
recovering, it's slow as hell. It feels like.
Yeah, yeah. Thing about the parasite energy refill there, as you're using more parasite energy there, it takes longer to regen. There's like a little trick to that. If you have a second piece of armor there, a backup armor, if you switch armor for whatever reason there, that reboots the parasite energy refill. So like it'll start going back up at the normal pace again. But the trade off to that is that like you either have to have like two really good pieces of armor, or you're going to be trading off to a much weaker
Oh yeah.
armor for the little bit there. So it just depends on uh, how much focus you're using on parasite energy, the using the magic and such there.
I would have never thought of switching the armor. I really wouldn't have. I wouldn't have
Mm-hmm.
thought of
Yeah.
switching the armor, but that's actually pretty awesome to know right there. I'll have to
Mm-hmm.
remember that one when I go to play my EX playthrough, so I can do the Chrysler Tower, which we will
There you
we'll
go.
break
There you go.
we'll break into that one later. I because we've
Mm-hmm.
kind of ignored the story and we've really been talking about the gameplay itself and talking about the combat.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Um, so some of the other RPG elements we have here is we have the you get what was it BP for leveling up,
mm-hmm. Yeah.
and you get to use them, and it sucks it doesn't tell you anything about it. Like if you don't just explore that menu, you'll never find it. You can play the whole game and not realize that you're getting all these extra points to boost up your character, and there's different ways to do it. And the and it's 100 points per, which they don't tell you until you use your first one, and you're like, oh wait a minute, I had 175 points, why am I can only upgrade once?
mm-hmm. Yeah.
um but you got different stats you can upgrade. One, you can upgrade your ATB bar so that it refills faster. You can
Mm-hmm.
upgrade your inventory, which I don't know. The inventory is kind of hit or miss. I could see wanting to upgrade your inventory just because if you're trying to get the special weapon for collecting, what is it, 100 pieces of junk to take back to
300.
300.
Yep.
Okay, so way more than I was thinking. But if
Yeah.
you want to grind the game out and collect the junk, you can. And I can see wanting to upgrade
Mm-hmm.
your inventory. But the other stats you can upgrade is you can go to your gun or you can go to your armor, and you can upgrade one stat at a time and start boosting those. So
Right.
I
Yep.
spent the first half of the game on my last playthrough upgrading my ATB so that it was always like I was in haste mode, being able to run around and
Okay.
attack.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started kind of once I got to like level 30 or whatever, that's when I started focusing on upgrading my gun and my armor, because I realized that like, okay, wait, I've been spending all my points on this instead of giving myself better defense, and I was getting hit pretty hard. And then once I started putting
Yeah.
my armor on, that's when it was like, oh, okay, here we go. I'm not dying so fast, so I'm actually surviving a little better than I was before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
um, what do you think is the most important stat with those BP points? What do you think was what you would say as someone who goes through and actually plays this game on the regular?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I always go back and forth there. Do maybe a round of attack power on my gun there, and then a round of defense on my armor there. I rarely ever touch the ATB bar or the inventory. Uh, like you said there, I would only do the inventory if you are really on that junk collecting grind. There, wanting those special weapons, but uh, yeah, generally I just continue to boost those stats up the main two, attack and defense there on my weapon and armor.
Gotcha. Yeah, I wanted to see what the ATV would do, and like I said, it just started getting to the point where I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't
Yeah.
seeing there. But talking about the BP points, okay, confirm this
Mm-hmm.
or not, I don't know. You probably know about this already. There's a secret thing that they don't tell you about the game, and only people who grind the game know, is that
Mm-hmm.
apparently the longer you go between saving the game, the more of a bonus you get on BP when you level up.
Hmm. I haven't heard that one there. Like, uh, I'm pretty sure, like, if guides I've read are correct there, which I think that they are, uh, it's based on like the enemies that you kill. Like each enemy is worth a different amount of points, and when you get hit by that enemy, it takes away some of those points there. So it's best to get hit as little as possible there. Like not like you're trying to do that already anyway. but
Right.
uh, but like yeah, certain enemies are worth certain BP point values, and then getting hit by those enemies reduces your BP that you get, if I'm understanding correctly.
Interesting.
It's been a little bit there, but that's the way that I remember reading the mechanics on that.
Okay.
I don't remember if saving ever came into it there, but that could potentially be. I'll have to look into that one there.
Okay, well, I'm about to say, because I seen it in like a video I was watching, because I was just trying to like find little fun tidbits for this podcast to see what other people are finding and stuff like that. Plus, I was still trying to find that detail we were talking about before the podcast of the whether or not the story of Parasite Eve was supposed to originally be Final Fantasy VII, and we can't confirm or deny that that actually is true. But
Yeah.
there was talks of that. But yes, someone was talking about like that saving resets your points or resets your multiplier or something like that. So like not saving so much helps. Whether it's true or not, I'll have to look into it more too. But
Yeah.
I just kind of seen that. I'm like, okay, that would make sense, because they'd want to like, okay, the more brave you are, the more ambitious you are, you want to not save, because if you save or if you don't save, you're stuck. It's an old school game. There is no auto save unless you're emulating it. There's no save states. It's like, nope, you find a phone like Resident Evil 2, and if you don't save, good luck.
Yeah.
So we've beat to death the mechanics of the story of the fighting. We've beat to death the RPG side of it. So let's talk about this story in general, right? So this story was very unique. I thought it was actually very ambitious for them to take on this kind of take, especially with some of the FMVs they put into the game. So the story follows Aya Brea. She's a rookie NYPD officer who starts the game. You don't really get a whole lot of detail. You can change your name if you want to. I don't know. I just leave their default names. I don't really care about making it my name or whatever. So she's going on a date to the theater. She's going to an opera show. It's Christmas Eve, 1997, and it's New York City, of course. And that's when it all starts. And they don't tell you anything. All of a sudden, the opera singer's kind of just singing. And then all of a sudden, everyone just starts catching fire, and you don't really know what's going on. And so, like, I had a few people telling me like my playthrough, because there's no voiceover, so it's all just reading, and you either gotta like it or you don't. But I was told it's kind of boring because they didn't understand the story, and I'm like, this game was meant to be. You need to build into the story. They're not gonna just give you the whole story up front and then let you like solve a mystery. Like, no, the whole mystery is the story in itself.
Right.
And so at first you're confused just as much as the main character is like, wait, what the hell's going on here? What am I doing? Why am I the only one who could fight back against this and stuff like that? And I thought that was the main set piece of the story, right? Was the fact that it leaves you hanging and you just want to go figure out what is going on.
Oh yeah, I agree. And it just works so well there with her being the rookie detective there, that you're thrown right into this whole sci-fi basically sci-fi mystery there, that you and the main character have no idea what's going on there. So we're just gonna do what we can do and see what we can learn, see if we can solve this.
Right, and I think that was the great part, right? Because that's what you just said. You have to solve it. You have to go figure it out. It leaves you in suspense the whole time, and you don't really find out. Like, yeah, chapter 2, you get a little bit of answers of like, okay, it's not just spontaneous combustion, right? There's the mitochondria is in play here, and then it's like you get into chapter 3. You've just been attacked by Eve. You barely survive, and then here comes, what is it, Medea? How do you say that?
Maida is how I always said it there, but yeah.
That sounds better than what I said. So Maida, who's a scientist, which secretly, you don't really know this until you kind of like read into it, supposedly was part of the book. Not in the book, but like he was like a background character who was like part of what happened in the novel. And because of his experience there, he came to America to find out, is this in fact the same situation and stuff like that. And of course, then that's when you get the light shine. You go, oh, okay, now I kind of understand a little bit more of what's going on.
Yeah.
And he's an interesting character himself, Maida. And welcome in, CB. Having me on the charger and listening. Yeah, so Maida, so you go there, he starts doing he goes into the museum, right? Because he starts looking at what Professor Clamp's doing, and okay, yeah, he's going, okay, he's studying the mitochondria. Now it's like, okay, wait, there's a new mystery. How does he know so much, and what is he doing? Because at first he doesn't really talk to you. He's just like, yeah, whatever. Like, okay, cool, that's interesting that you survived, and he just kind of blows you off, right? He doesn't really respond to you too well in that sense because he doesn't want anything to do with you. And it's not until Aya gives gives a Japanese scientist her cells so he can look at him. That's when he's like, "Hey, you're different,"
Right. Yeah.
And so it's kind of cool, just like how it starts to build up, and then of course the hospital scene. I thought the hospital scene was probably one of my favorite levels. It just felt so dark and suspenseful. Getting trapped in the basement when Eve's like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna shut this elevator. Have fun down there."
Yeah. Yeah, that was a really good part there. Yeah, just being the isolation of it there. You're stuck there. It's like power goes out there. You're in the dark. Yeah, I think they got like the 4 fuses or whatever there, so you can finally get back upstairs there to try to stop Eve there. So yeah, it's definitely does its job well there.
Oh yeah, and then it becomes suspenseful, right? Because the lights go out. That's when you start meeting some of the new monsters start coming involved. But that's where some of the other creepy stuff starts to come into play, and you're just like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And like when you start realizing that you're there to shut off nitrogen so you can kill off the holdings inside the sperm bank, which is where the story kind of gets like, okay, wait a minute, this just seems kind of weird. Then you get in the elevator, and then there's the empty sperm jar sitting on the ground.
Yeah. You get little bits and pieces there from Maida's backstory there about the whole Japan incident, as he puts it there, where this whole thing happened before there, where a person going by Eve and such there tried to create this ultimate being there, as they called it. And yeah, that's where you kind of get the realization that that's what Eve's ultimate plan is here as well there. So yeah, you gotta destroy the sperm bank there, but too late on that. So yeah, that whole moment there where you do find the specimen tube or whatever, and I think it's in the elevator.
Yes.
As you're going up towards the top floor of the hospital there. Yeah, that's a good little like chilling scene. Like, oh man, we messed up. We're too late.
Yeah. Oh, what's happening next? But then you also have right before the elevator, right? I think that's where the game almost climaxes. Is right there before you go on the elevator to go up to fight the spider boss. You find that file that gives you kind of shines a light that, okay, the image you're seeing actually is your sister that you don't know, but you know that you had one. Right. And you start to kind of figure out, okay, wait, why are all these puzzle pieces kind of fitting in together? Right. And you know that you find out in that section that your sister is a donor and that she donated a part of herself. Well, she didn't do it, but her part of her body was donated to this Melissa, who eventually morphs into Eve.
Yeah.
And then, of course, it's later that you find out that it's all the immunosuppressants that she's taking that allows Eve to actually evolve and take over, even though those cells started in Maya, right?
Yes, Maya. Yeah,
is her sister. So yeah, it all started there. But it's just kind of weird because like reading the book, you'd be able to see this and go, okay, I already see what's coming. Right, because it does pretty much follow the same circumstances, just in a little bit different of an order.
Yeah.
Right, because in the book, it's actually the scientist's wife who dies, and it's her kidneys that are transplanted into Miyoko, or whatever her forget her name, the girl from the
it's something like that. I can't remember exactly there.
Who ends up turning into being Eve. Here's a tidbit you might not have known though. Apparently, Miyoko, or however you say her name, or whatever her actual name is the birth mother of Aya and Maya.
Okay, yeah, I think I do remember.
That's their biological
Mariko,
mother.
I think is what the name there. Yeah, and then you see the files there that has the same name. So, yeah.
So people are not paying attention. Like if you're just reading over to the story, you might miss that piece, but that's where the full story comes around, right? It's like, oh, wait a minute. The
Mhm.
original host of Eve is the mother of Aya and her sister. It's just like, whoa, that's weird. That's when it's all just comes to life, right? Like I said, like that's
Mhm.
almost like
Yeah.
the climax of the story at that point. You're just like, oh, okay, well, now we really have to go stop her because bad things are about to happen. And then of course you go
Mhm.
upstairs and you find out, no, the bad things are already on the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So at that point though, like what are you thinking in that part of the game? Like I mean, are you just like so enthralled and hooked into the story at that point that you're just like,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. At that point, they're definitely the uh like I said there when you realize they're like, oh, we were too late there. That's you've lost Eve there, and she has basically put into effect or whatever there that like the ultimate being is coming there. You have to go find her and hopefully stop her before it's born there. So like that's the point where like the chase is on really. I think at that point there is when you have the option where like the Chinatown and the warehouse there with the crab that we were talking about before there, where those two new areas open up, and you're just trying to scrambling to try to find where Eve has disappeared to there, because she's now hiding out there to give birth to this creature who will potentially just wipe out humanity. So yeah, at that point there, I'm hooked. I'm let's go find her. Let's go get this done. You know.
exactly. And I think that like because you get to chapter 5, you can kind of go around. It's when you go through that's also where you go into the subway, and that's where disc
Mhm.
2, of
Yeah,
course, the disc 2 screen shows up.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and you realize the blob's going towards the Statue of Liberty and stuff like that. And so you're like, oh wait, here we go. It's like things are about to get heavy here, and this is where the FMV start to really come into play, and you start
Mhm.
seeing more
Mhm.
of what this game, the cinematic part, right? Like going and seeing
Mhm.
the jets, right? The fighter jets fighting and getting blown away. And like the scene where the pilot gets taken over, like that was probably one of my favorite FMVs. Is when the
Mhm.
pilot
That was
just
good too. Yeah.
where he just screams, he grabs his head, and also the blob just comes out of the cockpit and it takes out all the planes. It's like,
Mhm.
oh, wait a
Mhm.
minute.
Yeah, that's right at the end of the whole hospital event there, because the plane ends up coming down and crashing into the hospital. There, you have to get out the roof
Yep.
before that happens. There, I remember that being a tense moment there, because uh, I'm pretty sure the first time there, I had no idea where you were supposed to go. I think I tried going back down where we came from. It's like, nope, can't do that. There, you had to go off to like a corner of the building of the roof there and jump onto like a little uh, I don't know, a little like elevator platform that they have on the outside for working on the building,
Yeah, it's a
and
scaffolding,
that's
like
how
it's
you
a
escape.
scaffolding
Yeah,
of the
scaffolding.
elevator,
That's it. Yeah, yeah.
and it's there so they like clean the windows, replace windows, stuff like that. And you jump on there,
Mhm.
the jet crashes in, and then of course the spider jumps out and hits the freaking brake, and you're like, oh
Yeah,
shit,
yeah.
wait a minute. So like that's where like the survival horror, the suspense comes in, right? Because at that point, like in
Mhm,
my
mhm.
playthrough recently, I was at like 700 rounds of ammo, so there was no survival part anymore.
Oh
Now
yeah,
it's
yeah,
now it's
yeah.
more of a suspense thriller. It's like, okay,
Mhm.
I'm just loving the story, and I got to figure out how do we stop Eve.
Mhm,
We got to
mhm.
stop this birth of this ultimate being, as you said. So
Yeah.
it's like it's insane, and then it's like, and then it just gets fast from there, right? Because once you're out of you leave the warehouse, you go in, you get the military is now involved. They pick you up, and then it's just from there. You're just like boss fight after boss fight after boss fight. It's like there's no more um stopping, going anywhere else. There's no
Mm,
like grinding, going back, picking anything else you might miss. It's like this is okay. This is you've passed go. You're no longer coming back.
yeah.
So I do love the after you beat the last boss, I do love the fact that like what they did with that final scene where you have to try to escape what's left of the boss.
Oh, okay, yeah, on the Navy ship there, yeah,
Yeah, the carrier, and you're trying
there,
to escape, and it's
yeah,
like you
yeah,
take a wrong turn, it's instant death. Like there's no survival after that
mm,
point, and that
right,
sucked.
yep,
The first time through, I remember dying a handful of times because you're like, oh wait, I need to go over
mm-hmm,
here, or do I go here? Or is there something secret that I can find, or something like that? And you're like, nope, it's about escaping. Don't try to do anything else. Just try to find the way out, because if he catches you, you're done.
yeah, I definitely had that. Well, they're trying to hide something from me, kind of idea too. There, like, if I go this way, I'm gonna go find a secret there. No, no, you're finding death over there. Yeah.
And then, of course, that final cinematic, right? The final cinematic was amazing. Like in the
Mm,
theater, when you
mm-hmm,
go back with Daniel, his son, and you're like, all of a sudden the eyes start glowing. Like,
That's a
you have
chilling
that,
scene. Yeah.
yeah, that ending right there, just like, whoa, wait a minute. And it's almost like it's done. You're just like, there's got to be more to this, right? And then you have what they consider the non-canon, and we'll kind of start now talking into this. So I'm gonna have to rely on your knowledge of this part. Is
Yeah.
the Chrysler building in the EX
Mm-hmm.
gameplay, right?
Yeah.
Because there's
Yeah.
another ending which most fans will tell you is the true ending, but
Mm,
it in being part of the actual story, it doesn't make sense because if you play two, she's got her powers back, right? Where at the
mm-hmm.
end of the ending you get, uh, uh, when you get to the ending of the Chrysler building and you run into that final boss, and I don't really want to spoil it too much for people.
Mm.
I
Gotcha.
mean,
Okay.
I
Yeah.
guess it's super old anyway, so I guess it doesn't really matter. Uh, but you run
Yeah, I still
into it.
like to keep things vague too. Yeah.
You run into a final boss who gives you a different ending, but
Mm.
Aya ends up losing her powers, right? Because her cells mutate and evolve and take her powers away. But then in two, you got her powers back again, and it's like, wait, what?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just it's a little weird there. So, yeah. But I do still think that I do really like the secret ending there. It ties up a lot of other elements of the story there. So yeah, I would definitely say, well, uh, the dungeon itself can be a chore to get through there, but I do really like the secret ending. So it's one of those things there. Well, I personally recommend it, but I can also see it being issues for other people there. So like as far as the Chrysler building itself, there, if you want to go into that, there is 77 floors uh, of not randomly generated, but randomly chosen floors there. I can't remember how many pre-generated floors they have, but it'll pull uh, like a random floor layout there that you have to make your way through. And every 10 floors, uh, like 10, 20, all the way up to 70 there's a boss fight on those floors that you beat that boss there, then you get an elevator key. So that's like fast travel back up to that point there. So like if you were to quit at any point there, go back to the main, go uh, back onto the world map there, or to save whatnot there, or if you were to uh like another thing about the whole EX game, like you can keep on like doing it, you can keep going back and playing through the main game to get like stronger weapons and all that there to beef up your weapons if you're not feeling like you're ready to take on the Chrysler building. I know some people don't go and do that until like they're on their third or fourth round playing the game. But yeah, you put the if you put the Chrysler building elevator keys in your storage, you can carry those over between games, so you can jump right back to where you were. So like if you only got to like floor 30 or whatever there, you could jump back into that when you had like a bear gun and things like that there. So uh, it's it can be a lot to take in at once there going through. Uh, I think it's really just 70 floors there because like the last seven, I think that they're just low like build up floors there. There aren't any fights or anything like that. You just go up stair until you get to the final boss there, the final secret boss. So yeah, it can be a lot to go through there. If you are doing it yourself, I recommend looking up maps to help you get through it. But yeah.
But that's also where you start getting like your super tools come into play.
Mm.
You
Oh
start
yeah.
finding
Oh yeah.
the rare trading cards, which allows you to upgrade your guns, which
Mm.
in turn opens up the game, which I thought was weird that they don't put more premise of trying to get people to play the game again. Because I mean, yeah, that the
Mm-hmm.
ending you get from the main game kind of leaves you in this weird, like, okay, wait a minute, that just kind of weird. It's not an ending. It almost leaves you driving for more. You're just hungry. You're like, wait a minute, what happened? What am I missing here,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, and there's a lot of like fan theory and story of like why that ending is the way it is with the whole eyes glowing and stuff like that. But like you don't find super tools until you get to the EX game. You don't find the rare trading cards that the dude talks about until the second game. You can't even okay. Can you do anything with the regular trading cards that you find? Because I found a few trading
Those
cards.
mhm. Those act as mod permits also. Like you can take those down to when Wayne takes over the little NYPD weapons department. You take those to him and add little add-on slots for your guns with the regular trading cards also.
So why did
Like the
I
super.
wonder why one was broken? Mine wouldn't let me do that. That's weird. Like I did could do it
That's
would
weird.
let me do anything with the trading cards. That's why I thought, are they dead? They just don't mean anything.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, it should let you. Yeah, mod it. They're the rare trading cards that you can get in the EX game in the Chrysler Building. When you use them, he will let you mod like two weapons or mod a weapon twice,
Huh.
and he also gives you I can't remember how many there are off the top of my head. There, I should have written that down. But
No
after you
worries.
get like so many, he gives you. I think that after you get like boy, I should have noted that down there. But like, I think after you get half of them, he gives you a toolkit item, which is like infinite regular tools. Like you can just like go through and slap all the stat bonuses from old weapons onto your current weapon, and just completely wipe out your inventory that way there, and beef up your guns that way. And when you get like all the rare trading cards and give them to him, gives you a super toolkit. So that's
Right.
infinite super tools, which allow you to move over like stats and the little add-on uh, slots there. You can move those around without destroying weapons. So yeah, that lets you move those around freely there. So yeah, I really don't know why the trading cards weren't working for you there. It's weird.
Yeah, that's weird. So there's 14 of the rare trading cards.
14. Okay, it might
Yeah.
be like when you get 10, you get the toolkit, and then 14, you get the super toolkit. Then.
And then there's 20 regular trading cards, which I think I only found like 6 or 7. So apparently there's a lot of trading cards I either missed or are not available until you get to the EX game. So
I'm not 100% sure where where all those lay off the top of my head there yet.
So I was actually thinking about taking the EX gameplay because I really do want to go back to the Chrysler Building because I don't think I ever actually got to the end. I think I ended up watching the secret ending by just YouTubing it. Someone else had recorded it,
Yeah.
and so I just kind of watched it because I was like, okay, this is a lot to do, and I want to move on. Um,
Mhm.
and so I was actually about live streaming my EX playthrough and like just kind of going through that way, so that way people could kind of watch going through the Chrysler Building because it seems like that's more of a struggle than the actual game turns out to be.
Gotcha. Yeah. 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 Like it's when you get into the Chrysler Building, there it is going to be like I said, every 10 floors you got the boss fights there. Most of them are repeat boss fights. Like you got the alligator there. There's one boss fight where it's against two alligators. You got the Spider Woman comes back there. Centipede. The crab comes back. I think there are like only two original bosses that take up those floors. Uh, and all the enemies throughout up until like towards the end are just harder versions of enemies that you fought beforehand.
Right.
So let me think. I think that there are again like only like two original enemies. There is a mimic type enemy there. When you like open some of the treasure chests, there an enemy will jump out and
Oh,
you have to fight that. And
that's
then
mean.
I think a squirrel, for whatever reason, a mutating squirrel is one of the new enemies in the
Gotcha.
Chrysler Building. And then the rest of them are just repeats. They're like slight recolors and harder versions of enemies that you already fought.
Right.
Uh, and then again about the Chrysler Building, there I do have my Brady guide, Parasite
Nice.
Eve.
There you go.
I still had from way back when it started there. This does have like maps for the Chrysler Building there. Like I can kind of show off a little bit there. Just uh,
I'll
Is
have
what
to.
I used when I was going through on my playthrough on my channel. I use those maps there because I didn't want to be going completely blind in it. There, you want to on each floor. There's like the entrance there where you like from the floor below there where you come up onto it. There's the stairway up to the next floor, and then there are like two other special rooms there. There's the elevator. If you have a key there, you can just use the elevator and go back down to the base floor. And there's the storage room there. That's like whenever you come across like the just a plain looking double door set there. That's where your treasures are.
Ah,
So that's what your main thing is looking for before you go up to the next floor. So yeah, so that's why I again have the maps there. One beeline it to the storage room there, and
right.
then find my way up to the stairway.
Yeah, get in, get out, right? Get what you
Yep,
can.
yep, exactly.
um, so did you now I'm assuming because you're such a fan of one, you've played two, right?
I have played two. It's been a while there. I've actually just recently started playing through on my own on that one there. Like a couple people have asked me to do like a sort of beginner's guide of Parasite Eve 2. So I'm working on video for that there, but I'm just at the very beginning of the game again. But
Gotcha.
yeah, I have played through it.
Yeah, I can't say I remember too much of two. I remember the first like scene is like you back in the park, or inside of one of the parks somewhere. I can't really remember too much of the story. I really did play the hell out of three because three was very interesting. Third birthday,
Okay,
as they
okay,
call it.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
did you ever play the third birthday version or no?
I never beat the third birthday there. Like I started playing it there. I think I got like a few missions into it there, and then just I think it was too different at the time. There, it's one of those things where I plan on going back to, but haven't done it yet. There.
It definitely doesn't feel like Parasite Eve. Like the story is completely different. I it took me a third attempt to beat it because I got like the first two times I'd get to a certain level or a certain boss, and it was just like if you weren't utilizing the mechanics perfectly, the game just kicked your ass. It said you're not passing this
Oh
unless you
yeah.
actually learn this mechanic. And so if you
Yeah.
burn through your soldiers, that because the whole point is you could transport between different people that are on your team in the map, right?
Yeah.
So you can go
Yeah.
between them. Well, if you go through them too fast or you don't time it just right, your enemy, your boss fight you're fighting will actually blow them all away and then leave you stuck hanging where you're kind of like, well, I can't beat this boss because I'm out of ammo. I don't have no one else to go to. I don't have any equipment, nothing. Like you're just done. You're like, wait a minute. So I think third birthday was like, I don't know. It's kind of weird how different that game was, even though they tried to tout it as a Parasite Eve game.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think we've beaten up this game. If you had to give this game a grade, okay, if you had to give this game a grade based off of your nostalgic factor, your love for the game, where would you rate this? Not necessarily on a 1 to 10 scale, but like in your top 10 games. Was this in your top 10 games?
This as far as is very close, if not in there. I'd say in my PS1 games, it's definitely in my top 10 for the system of all time. It's very close to that there, I'd say.
Gotcha. And then we've already talked about like the fact that we both want to see this game remade. So I'm not gonna I'm not gonna rehash that back up because we already talked about that.
Yeah.
We both want to see this game redone. I'd love to see some really good voice acting. I'd love to see just high quality graphics with this, and maybe just maybe extending the story a little bit, right? Like I don't necessarily need a Final Fantasy VII remake or rebirth where they like open up the world and make it all open world. Like I'm just saying like maybe kind of just add a little bit more features to the game to kind of extend the levels a little bit more. Like the sewer doesn't have to be so short, because it feels like if you look at the time, day 5 is like 90% of your game. You know what I mean? If you add the time
I was
up
going
from
back through it there, yeah.
if you add up the time
stuff.
day 1 through 4 is like the same amount of time as day 5 by itself takes.
Yeah.
So I'd love to see more of the flashbacks, maybe more adding some like secret guns that you can find by only exploring. Because that's okay. There's another thing thinking about it. There's only 2 instances where they have secrets, right? Unless they do it in the Chrysler building. You have the one in the hospital where it has a sign, and you have to slide the cabinet over to find the button, open the door to move on. So it's not a
Okay. Yeah.
secret because you have to find it. But then
Mm,
in the museum, there's a hidden room off to the side. If you go, so it's like right when you go into the rainforest room, right? And it's got the
yeah.
little question thing right in front of you. And then right when you go forward, you have to fight two chameleons. And you go forward, and then
Mm-hmm.
if you go forward and to the left, there's a scorpion boss. But if you don't go to that door, you kind of hook the right and kind of come back. You go behind a wall, and it takes you to a hidden storage room
Mm-hmm.
where there's a bunch of really good items in. But then there's also a little cabinet, and there's no way you would even know it's there unless you're a gamer, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like you're just walking the edges and you kind of go, wait a minute, why is there graphics off outside the wall? And so you start looking at it and you're like, why? And then all of a sudden you go up to a box and it pushes out of the way and a door opens up and you're like, wait, there was no hints, no nothing other than just maybe some pixels and you just kind of seen it and you're just like, wait a minute, that doesn't look
Mm-hmm.
right. It's like playing the original Final Fantasies, right? Like Final
Yeah.
Fantasy 2, right? They had all those secret passages in the trees you can go find
Mm-hmm.
to go find
Mm-hmm.
hidden chests, and
Yeah.
you wouldn't know that's there unless you just notice those pixels, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing there that says, "Hey, move me."
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
you go in there. There's three boxes. You're like, "Oh shit, I've already looted this room. Let's go." And it's like, nope, there's two more behind this door. And then of course there's a secret elevator when you get up to the second floor of the museum. But that's it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, why would you add these two secret rooms if those are the only ones you have in the game? Like, where there should be more, unless there's something that you know of that I never found.
There are a few here and there, like in the beginning there, the Carnegie Hall when you jump down into the sewer area. Uh, like you're walking back, there's like these two stairways there. It's like you're walking through the water, and you go up there through the middle between the two stairs. If you hug the right wall as you're going into that room there's like one area, like a bunch of pillars or whatever there. There's a brief scene where you see your sister Maya, little ghost vision that runs away from you in that room. There's a room on the right side of that you go back, and there's like three treasure chests in that. I think that they have little stat boosting items, if I
I
remember
missed that one.
remembering right. uh, Another thing, like I think also in the Carnegie Hall, there's like it in the very like when you go down the basement there, in the very first room to the left, when you can unlock that. There's a little wall that you can like push that kind of breaks away there, and you crawl through. It's just like a upgrade piece of armor there. It's not like a big deal to miss that one there. Like I think the end protector or something like that is back behind that.
Huh.
Uh, there are like some little things there. One thing that I remember having people comment on that was a little bit difficult for them to wrap their heads around there in the Central Park there when you're in the zoo area. Like there's another thing that you have to do in order to progress there. Like there's the office that you go into, and there's the drawer that you pull out, and there's the key inside.
Right.
Like I said, there it's something you have to do. You can actually open like one of the cabinets that's up on the wall there and get like some sort of item. It might be one of the first grenade launchers that you can get is up in one of those cabinets there, and then like you can pull away. There's like a cot or a little stretcher or something there that you can pull away, and then open up another cabinet in there. I think that's a piece of armor, or maybe just like
Wait,
medicine items, something like that. There,
you just blew me
like
with
there's
that one.
little, yeah, there are little interactable items there that don't look like you can interact with them there. Like so, like if we did get like a remake there, maybe make those a little bit more obvious that you can interact with things like that there.
Yeah,
So yeah,
that one
there's
blows me away. I didn't know that one existed. I
mm,
was like, wait, what?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh
yeah.
man.
So there are some little things there that, like you said, there you're almost not going to see the first time that you do play through
Right.
this game there, unless you're told about beforehand. So yeah,
Yeah, 'cause
there
like
are
this,
some
there's
some
like the
secrets
sewer.
there.
The sewer was a big maze, right? Not
Mm,
the first sewer
mm,
underneath the theater, but like when you go back and
mm,
you're going through the sewer and you first start running into the rats and stuff like that. Like you can get lost in there
mm,
trying to find your way through that maze. And there's like a bunch of different boxes. You almost need a
mm,
map to get all of those items there.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that kind of reminds
yeah.
me of the
There's one
scene
of
from
those.
Zelda. Kind of reminds me a lot from
Mhm,
Zelda when you have that one where it's what is it? You have to like go 2 over, 1 up, 2 over, 1 down, 2 back, or something like that
yeah.
to get to like what is it like Dungeon 5 or something like that. I can't really remember,
Yeah, I can't remember which one it is there. Yeah,
but you know what I'm
yeah.
talking about though.
I do know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
It's funny how
Uh,
games do that, and we don't see that
mhm,
as often anymore. Where you kind of
mhm,
like have to like talk to NPCs to get these hints on how to get past certain
mhm,
areas. So,
mhm.
but I don't know. I love this game, and I would say it's easily probably in my top 8. It's not my top 5. I
Okay.
have
Yeah.
a lot of great games, but it's definitely in my top 10. I'd say
Oh
probably
yeah.
somewhere
Yeah.
around like 7 or 8 top games. It's a game
Mhm,
I can revisit just because of what the story is and
mhm, mhm.
how enjoyable it is. It's easy to enjoy the story. It's not over convoluted. It's not super long, but it's just long enough that
Mhm.
you feel like you have to invest something into it.
Yeah, yeah, that's another thing that I think really works to its favor there. Like you said, there it's not a super long game there. Like if you go into it completely blind, I think that you can beat it in under 10 hours there, or around 10 hours there. Like me knowing what I'm doing there, I usually beat it around 7. So
Okay. Yeah, I think I was sitting at 8.5,
okay,
probably
yeah,
closer to 9 with like my 3 deaths that I had in the game. So,
gotcha.
but yeah, I think if you were rushing and not doing any of the item collecting and just going straight through it, yeah, I could see it on a first playthrough, 9 hours easy.
Mhm.
And then I could
Yeah,
see
yeah.
the 7 hours. I don't know. What is the speed run on that? Just curious, out of curiosity. I don't know what the
Around
fastest.
3 hours. Around
Are you
3 hours on that one.
serious?
Yeah, yeah. So
No
yeah, like
way.
less than half my time. Yep. I think I saw one pop up on my For You uh, YouTube front page there that somebody beat it in like 3 hours and 1 minute there, something like that popped up recently.
God, that's crazy. So
Speedruns are
see,
crazy, man.
2 hours and 19 minutes.
Is that the world record now? Wow.
That's one. So on howlongtobeat.com where people actually put a lot of stuff up on. Yeah, I'm
Mm,
seeing one here for 2 hours and 19 minutes is the fastest speed run, and it
mm.
was played on a PS2. Or no, wait, hold on.
I feel like PSP might be the fastest there if I remember. Like I looked into the doing the speed run like at one point there a couple years ago there. I think that people were saying like PSP was one of the fastest ways to play it,
Gotcha.
like on the PlayStation Stores version, something like that.
Yeah, I did say because it's usually like emulated, right? Usually it's the emulated people who usually get it. Usually the
Mhm.
fastest. So yeah, and then of course it's like 60 hours. You're saying is just playing at leisure and 100% in the game. It's like I can see about 30, 32 hours for that, but not 60.
Yeah, yeah.
But oh my god, I'm gonna have to go find someone who speed runs this and figure out how the hell do you beat this game in just over 2 hours? Because that makes
Yeah.
no sense to me. That makes absolutely no sense to me.
Mhm.
So
If I
with
remember, mm,
go ahead.
sorry,
Sorry,
if I
I didn't
remember
mean.
right, I know one of the tricks to it there. Like you have to get lucky about certain machine gun being dropped in one of the chests there. Like one thing that we never really talked about there. Like a lot of the chests have an either or mechanic there. Like 40% of the time it'll be this item, and like 60% will be a different item. There, like one of the chests I think in the hospital there could potentially have a machine gun that usually is what they carry through the rest of the game
Huh.
there in speed runs, at least speed runs I've seen in the past there. So yeah, it's interesting there. Yeah.
Yeah, you're definitely not backtracking. You're not spending a whole lot of time modifying your
Hmm.
weapon. You're pretty much just
Hmm.
running
Yeah.
your weapon. I can't see you really unless you're like going to just straight one boost, like 1 point, or like one stat. You're not, on your weapon or your armor. You're not using your BPs
Hmm.
too often. Like I don't see. I don't know. I'm gonna have to watch someone play a speedrun on this. That would be worth definitely 2 hours of my time to figure out how do you speedrun this game, considering how much is to backtrack and run around doing, right? Like,
Hmm.
I don't know. That's crazy. I find that outrageous to think 2 hours and 20 minutes speed run on
Hmm.
this
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
So with that, guys, we're gonna call Parasite Eve 1 a close. We're sitting at about 84 minutes, so I don't want to like make these too long, and I don't want to
Hmm.
take up too
Right.
much time of Ryan here because he was so gracious enough to come join me here on the podcast. I appreciate it, dude.
Oh,
Let
yeah,
these
have
guys
blast there.
let these guys know where they can find you again, and I'll make sure I drop your link in the description when I go back and rewrite it and stuff like that. So
I appreciate that. So yeah, you can find me over on RPG Tour Guide on YouTube here. You can follow me on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it there, at Ryan Phoenix. And generally, it's RPG Tour Guide just about everywhere else there. So yeah.
all right,
And
so
yeah, it was blast being here. Appreciate you inviting me.
I appreciate you coming on. But one thing before you go, just to kind of make some people mad here. Okay, if you had to, you're gonna remake one, play one as it is, or delete one forever. Okay, I'm gonna give you 3 games. You tell me which one you do. Okay, original Resident Evil 2, Silent Hill, or Clock Tower. We're gonna stick to the survival horror games. You have to remake one, play one, and delete one forever.
You say the original Silent Hill?
Original Silent Hill, not the remake. The original.
Okay.
I picked 3 games that released around the same year as this that are on the same genre.
Yeah, I get it there. Yeah. I think I'd. That's a tough call there. I think I'd remake Clock Tower.
Okay.
I'm trying to think. It's tough between Silent Hill and Resident Evil 2. There, which one? Oh boy, I think I'd play Resident Evil 2 as is and it hurts there, but I'd get rid of Silent.
Oh yeah, that will make some people really mad there, right? Because a lot of people loved Silent Hill. And I kind of agree with you. I think Clock Tower could use a really good remake.
I think that's the thing there. Yeah.
I love Resident Evil 2 the way it is, especially if you can get the collector's edition that has the DualShock capabilities, where it makes the controls a little bit smoother. Yeah. And I don't know, dude. Like Silent Hill, I liked it. It was a good game. But if I had to pick those 3, Silent Hill's got to go. And I know it's going to make a lot of people mad. But guys, drop your comments. Drop your comments down below. Let me know what do you think of our game we're deleting and playing and remaking. And throw your own comments in there. Let me know what you guys think. And with that, guys, this has been the Retro Gaming Broadcast. And welcome back. And thanks again, Ryan, for joining me. Maybe I'll have you on for another game sometime in the future.
Sounds good. I'm down.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Love you. Take care of yourself. Make sure you go out and take care of your mental health. If you need help, reach out and talk to somebody. It's not fair to go. Well, I can't say it's not fair. It's not okay to go alone. Okay. Reach out, talk to somebody. Don't be afraid. A lot of us streamers, a lot of us content creators are always out there for you. So you can always reach into my DMs. You can reach out to me on X, whatever, and let me know and talk if you just need someone to listen or if you just need some advice. I'm always there for you guys. And again, thanks for being here. Oh, wait, Christina has a question. I'm not sure when she sent that. Let's see. We'll give her a second there. Can I see when she sent that? I might have missed it. If she's still there. If not, I guess she can drop it down below and I'll get back to her on that one. I apologize, Christina, if I didn't see that sooner. There's kind of a delay there too, so.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm not seeing it there. She can send it to me later. Thanks again, guys, for being here. I love you all. And thanks again, Ryan. And I'll see you guys next time.
Yeah. See you guys.
Later.